Hello everyone, Patrick's here, and in today's episode I want to show you how to create items using DC20 game system. So we will start with some basics. So maybe we will create new item. It will be a feature, and let's call it maybe just attack. Okay, this is our item sheet right here. We can choose an icon, whatever, maybe something from skills. Okay, here is our description. We can write something here, describe the item, and now we will want to make it an attack. So we can go to Roll tab, and here we have our action type to choose from. So attack is against defense, check is against DC, or it might be also a contest, and other is for some other applications, and help is to roll a help dice from that, make a help action from here. So we can also use our this option from template, where we can choose if we want to create dynamic attack save, attack, check, save, or contest, and depending on what we select, it will pre-create some stuff. So here let's select dynamic attack save. And as you can see, something was created, so it will be melee attack versus precision defense, attack check, it also might be a spell check, roll bonus, if this specific weapon, this specific attack has some extra modifiers, you can add them there. If it deals half damage on miss, it's useful for spells, and also it can skip bonus damage, so it can skip heavy hits, brutal hits, critical, and also it can skip conditionals if you select that option. So it's not useful too often, but maybe there is a case that you want to change that. So here we have our roll requests. As you can see, there was one created by default because we selected dynamic attack save, but we can add some more. So maybe we also want some other save, maybe might. Now it will allow us to roll any of those when we use that item and roll it to chat message. Another thing is against status. So this allows us to configure what type of effect will this fail on save cause. So if it, for example, cause burning, we can select this status. Then if someone has resistance to burning, then it will roll this save with advantage because we selected that option. Additionally, we will be able to apply that effect from the chat message. If we roll that item, we can disable that part by clicking this eye over here. So it will disappear from chat message, but still will be used to calculate advantage and disadvantage level. Another thing, we have those boxes here that will allow us to configure if this status should end at specific moment. So for example, until the first time triggered, so until the next, if for example effect is against your next attack, then after your first attack it will disappear. until the start of your next turn, the end of your next turn. So your is a caster, and there is also targets next turn, and so that's, yeah, target is when your target starts around, and yours is when you start around, so there is the difference. Another thing is that you can select that it lasts for 1 minute, and also if it's a repeated save, then you can select what save is it. So with burning, we can leave it like that. Next thing we have here is roll formula. So in our case, it will be a damage formula. So we will, for example, deal 1 fire damage, and it will, this last section is, it allows you to override defense type. So by default, all attacks will go against precision defense, but if you, for example, want one damage type to be calculated against area defense, you can do it right here, like just like that. Override default target defense. So we will leave it empty, and maybe we will also add some other formula. So this type of formula allows you to configure some other things. So for example, maybe this weapon has multiple attacks. So let's how to configure it properly. It will be a contest that okay, so maybe let's give it a label, maybe number of attacks, and by default it is 1, but if our enemy fails his save by 5, it will be +1 each 5 he fails. So we want to use contest rules, so we will enable that by clicking that guy over here. And now I think we need to configure some costs of that attack. So we go to usage cost, and it will be 1 action point and maybe 1 grid, why not? Another things we can configure here is charges. So we can decide how many charges this attack has. So in our case, let's make it prime, and how many charges it uses when this item is rolled, so 1. Or also, if you want to only use charges for enhancements, for example, you can mark this 0, and then in enhancements we will go through that, you can spend charge there instead. And it regains maybe on quick rests. We can mark this to be shown as a resource on character sheet, and also if we want some custom recovery formula, we can do that as well. There is also recharge dice. We will not go into that right now. It's pretty similar to how it works with D&D game system. Okay, targets. So this part is not that important. I mean, it's useful because you can select its range if it's a range attack, but for us maybe let's make it 5 spaces. We can select one enemy as target, and if the attack has some area, we can do it as well. So maybe let's make it a line like this, 1 to maybe 5 to 1 spaces line. When it comes to duration, there is nothing we need to configure, but we might maybe one turn and it's instantaneous. Okay, so now let's add this item to our character. As you can see, it has 3 charges and it will cost 1 grit and 1 AP, so we need some grit to use it as well. And let's make an attack, and it will be against some other guy, maybe this one. So we are out of range. Okay, so we need to come closer. And as you can see, because we configured this because we configured this area, we can now use this line right here, yeah, and place it somewhere to mark something as target. So that's how you configure those lines, those measurement templates, by adding them here. You can add some more options as well, maybe not our arc, and it will also be added here. Okay, so now let's focus on the attack. So we will roll our item, make an attack, and as you can see, our Marlock will take 1 fire damage, and he needs to roll a save against burning condition, and also how many attacks it will take with our configuration. So now we will roll a might save, and he succeeded, so he will only take 1 attack, and he will not be burned. So those things you could see at the previous video, how this chat message works. So I think that's it when it comes to configuring a basic attack. Okay, so there is one more thing I want to show you right now, and to do that we will go on configuration tab, and here we have this checkbox over here. So use weapon as part of this attack. So some items, some features or techniques will have description using a melee weapon or unarmed strike, blah blah blah. So it will use this specific weapon damage. So in our case, this heroic bash will use some weapon. So that's why you have to toggle that. And now when we use that heroic bash, you can see that we will be able to choose what weapon we are using, and depending on the weapon, we might have some additional enhancements. So for longsword, we have smite because Ildum is a spellblade, and that's his bounded weapon. So that's how you configure using that using weapons as part of the attack, heroic bash in that example. Okay, so another thing we might want to configure is contests and checks. So as you can see, we have our heroic taunt as an example of how to configure contest with check. So we select action type of check, we select check type, we can choose multiple, and then just by rolling we can select which one we want to use right now. And we also select if it's against some specific DC, and if it is, we will provide it, and if it is not, then we will probably make a contest out of it. So we want new roller request with category contest, contested by something, yeah. So in our case it's mental save. If we want another contest, we can provide it as well. So the only difference between category contest and save is that contest will be against your role and save will be against your save DC. So we want another contest, maybe charisma or maybe awareness check against taunted condition, and when we roll that taunt, and as you can see, our Ildum or Marlock, they have to make an awareness or mental save against 20 because that is what we rolled, and if they failed, we will apply taunted condition to them. So that's how you configure check. Another thing is help option. So help is you just select action type of help, select if you ignore multiple help penalty or not, if it's if it should be subtracted instead of added to the roll. So by default it is added to the roll, so we have one help that is prepared here, we can grab and drop it and it was added to that roll, 4 was added. And also if we do not want to this dice to expire, so we will have to either use it or delete it manually if we are not expiring after first turn. Okay, next thing I want to show you is how to use item toggle. So we will have our character Ildum. I will add few features to that character. This one and this, and bear stance, we will add it to favorites. Okay, so now as you can see, we have rage and bear stance, and both of those items have toggle over here. To configure that toggle to appear, we need to go to the item configuration tab, and here you can see that there is add toggle to item and toggle on roll. So add toggle to item allows you to add this toggle. Yeah, if I disable it, it will disappear, and it will allow you to turn on that item. And what it does, we will see in the moment. And toggle on roll is just a checkbox that will automatically toggle an item if it was rolled. So just like that. I rolled rage and it was toggled on. Okay, so now when we have this toggle, we can do few things with that. So first, we can link effects with that toggle. So when our item has effect that are like rage over here that changes our stats, then we can add this toggle so player can just activate it and don't have to go to the effects tab and click on that effect and all that stuff. So first thing, we can configure it in the way like this. So we have link with item toggle, we can check that. If it's disabled, then you see that if effect is not activated. So we have to check that to link it. And another thing is effect state toggles item. So that checkbox will make this effect to work the other way around. So if we enable the effect itself like this, you can see that the item is activated as well. And it's the default behavior, and I suggest to keep it that way, because that way we can use this hotbar, for example, to just click on that effect and it will activate the item itself. So it's quite useful. Another thing is using toggle for conditionals, and for that we will have our bear stance. and it deals +1 damage on heavy and brutal hits, but only when it's activated. So right now we want to make a brutal hit against this target. Right now the item is disabled, so we will make an attack. Hopefully, okay, now it missed, but we will make it hit, maybe just by this. By the way, you can modify the formula just by clicking this button over here and add some more value to it. So now it's brutal hit plus, so it's 1 from base value, 1 from rage, and 3 from brutal hit over 15. So yeah, now it's 5, but when we activate bear stance and we will make an attack again, it's a heavy hit, so it's base value plus rage plus bear stance and plus heavy hit. So that's how you can activate and deactivate conditionals. So how to configure those? We can take a look at the bear stance, go to conditionals tab, and here you can see this checkbox over here. When selected, conditional will be respected only if item is toggled on. So that's another thing you can use toggles for. Okay, so I think that's it when it comes to toggle. Maybe we will jump to custom resources. So as you can see, you can see some of your charges of your items if you configure it on that usage cost tab. You can add it to your character sheet, but that's not what custom resources are. So for that we will grab another example. We will grab spiritual balance, and as you can see, we have new custom resource called key points. So how it is configured, we will also grab maybe deflect attack that uses key points, and to see it better we will move it to favorite tab. Okay, so as you can see, we have our spiritual balance that configures new custom resource that is called key points. Also, it's configured in the way that when we click on it, we will regain our resource. And we have deflect attack, so ability that uses this new custom resource. So it works as it should. And how to configure new custom resource, we can go to advanced core tab, and right here you can see custom resource. You provide resource key, resource name, and when it resets, so with key it doesn't, it's similar to stamina, but if it should reset on short rest, you can configure it that way. And here you have two options: either provide max formula manually, so with spiritual balance, with key points, we have the same number of key points as we have stamina, so that's why it's configured as just a formula for stamina max value. But you also can provide a table with different amounts. So when we use the table, for example, we will change it to have 4 at first level and close it. And I think we need to add this item again. So let's remove it. Or maybe, no, we should. It should work like this. Yeah, now you can see that we have 5 key points. And when you are in edit mode, you can take a look at the formula, and it calls scaling key point. Alright, so let's keep it that way, but if you want to, we can move it back. But now it won't change because we have to add this again. So when you add item with custom resource, system will automatically add it to your character sheet, just like that. And if you want to use it somewhere or can configure some items to use it, you have two approaches. One, if you are configuring some items, let's say this attack or maybe this one, it's not on the character sheet, so we don't know what custom resources this character has. But when we drag and drop item with custom resource configured on that, you can see that it will automatically detect that this item had custom resource, so it should be added here. Another thing, if you have your own custom resource, maybe just change its icon, whatever, you can also grab and drop it on the item and it will be added as well. So that's how custom resources work. Okay, so there is one more thing worth mentioning when it comes to configuration of targets and areas, and it is aura. Aura is a special type of area that changes behavior a little bit. So aura, the difference here is that it is linked to the caster. So we can make an example of this bardic performance, and it has an aura. When we roll that item, you can see that we can apply it, and there are two different behaviors when it comes to aura. First, when you try to apply it from roll menu, and second, when you try to apply it from chat message. So when you try to apply the aura from roll menu, if it has any effects linked, just like here, you can see that we have effects added to measurement template, and it will be applied for ally tokens. So when we roll it, when we add it from here, all the effects will be added to that aura. So we will add it to Ildum, and as you can see, all my allies have all the effects. So that's one behavior. When we move away, effects were removed, and when we disable that aura right here, it also will be removed. And another thing is when you roll it to the chat, you can configure effects to only be present when specific enhancement is toggled. So right now, for example, Battle Ballad will be only present when Battle Ballad enhancement is active. So we select that, we roll it. We have no mana, so we need to get some and roll it again. So only Battle Ballad effect will be active. Maybe we will choose two, Battle Ballad and Fast Tempo at once. And as you can see, our bardic performance was rolled on the chat message. We can see that there are only two effects. We can add this effect to our character, and now only those two will be added to the aura. And we can just remove it like this. So that's also one thing worth mentioning, and that you have two different behaviors. I mean, even more, because you can also select that you want to apply those effects to all tokens, only enemy, or use token selector. So each time you enter any token enters your aura, a pop-up will appear asking you if you want to apply that aura to this token or not. Okay, so I think that's it when it comes to auras. Okay, so it also might be a little bit chaotic, but I forgot to mention that this adding effects works for all measurement template, not only auras. Auras are just special because they are connected to your character, but it works for any other area type as well. So maybe we will, just to show an example, we will use arc now, and we will roll that barding performance again, use this arc, and only as you can see, I forgot to select any enhancements, so that's why there are no effects, but we can remove that and do it again. And 1 second, I will remove those duplicates. Okay, so we roll, we select battle ballad and inspiring. Now we create arc, and as you can see, those new effects were added, and it doesn't have to be an aura to make it work. Okay. Also, you can configure those to be difficult terrain, and it can be difficult terrain for all, for friendly disposition token and hostile disposition. So friendly disposition is when you hover over token and it's green, then it's friendly, and hostile disposition, it will be red when you hover over it. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. It's long enough already, and we will talk about more advanced stuff like conditionals, macros, and all those things in some future videos. So let me know what you think. If something is not clear, I will try to help you with comments. And yeah, see you or hear you in the next video. Goodbye.